and I'm an author, an editor, and a book coach. And welcome to this week's episode of Inspired Writing, where my mission is to get you guys, all you writers out there, the exact information that you need to get your book finished and also to build an inspired writing life that you absolutely love. In this week's episode, we are going to talk about that book that you started at some point in your life and you have not finished. So maybe you've been working on it for days, maybe you've been working on it for weeks, months, maybe years, maybe decades. Whatever it is, we're going to talk about it this week. I want you guys to get that book off the shelf where it is and to help you get some ideas to get it going again. Me, myself, I wrote a lot of half books. When I was a tween, when I was a teen, I wrote a lot of books and I never finished any of them. There was lots of reasons for that, many of them logistical. I tell a story when I go to schools about a computer I had or a laptop that I had that caught fire and melted all my chapters. And I never picked that book up again. But when I finally sat down and wrote my very first full-length book and finished it after 20 years of being a business executive, after 3 maternity leaves, when I had my 3rd child, I sat down and I wrote what later became The Fountain, pieces of that original boarding school novel that I was trying to write as a teen ended up in that book, because some of these things can live with us for a really long time. We have a really great idea and we want to make it into a book. Nowadays, when I tell people I'm a writer at a cocktail party or whatever in the before times, and starting to go to events again, I am absolutely shocked at how many people tell me that they have a book that they want to write. And when they say that, and when I press them further, they've usually started. And if this is you and you have a page or a chapter already written, then you are ahead of the bunch, because almost everybody in the world that I meet says that they want to write a book. But if you are actually doing it, if you have actually started writing, then you are well ahead of most. So congratulations. Absolutely, you are a writer. So let's talk about this book that you've started for a minute. Maybe it's something that you pull out every single day and stare at and just aren't sure how to get going. Or maybe it's something that you haven't looked at in a long time, and every time you think about looking at it, you've got this sinking feeling because you feel guilty that you haven't started it yet. No matter which one of these types of writers is you, or whatever stage you got stuck at with this book, just know that you're not alone. Okay, this happens to lots and lots of writers, even writers that have finished books along the way. Maybe you've written other books, but there's this one writing project that you just can't seem to get through. I want you guys to take a moment and let go of any guilt or negative feelings, because you're not alone. And sometimes it just takes as long as it takes to write a book, because there's a lot of noise out there in the industry about write a book in 30 days or NaNoWriMo or all of these ways to get through a book fast. And I meet a lot of writers that have a lot of guilt over not writing every day or not writing all the time or having gotten stuck. And the reality is, nobody writes a book by themselves. I mean, this whole myth of going off and writing a book in a week or something in a cabin in the woods, it's very rare, very rare. In fact, if you open any book on your shelf that you have bought or read by any author at all, you're going to find a whole page of acknowledgments. And there's a reason for that. It's okay to ask for help. It's okay to ask your community for help. It's okay to get stuck. It takes time, right? So everybody's writing journey is different. So you got to let go of that sort of myth that you're going to be able to do it quickly, or that you can, I mean, writing every day, I'm not dissing that, advice at all. If it works for you, great, but there are going to be moments, there are going to be times when you don't do it. And when you don't do it, the only thing you can do is pick it back up again. So if you've got this amazing half book and you want to get it finished, you want it in your hands and you know that you want it, here's what I want you guys to do. Here's how you get unstuck, okay? I want you to close your eyes and I want you to think back to that first moment, that first time that you ever had the idea for this particular writing project. Not that you had the idea to write a book. Lots of people have that idea, right? What was it about this particular moment or this particular idea that came to you? Where were you when you first thought of writing this book? Okay, eyes still closed, right? Where were you when you first started writing this book? And what was it that you wanted to say to the world about life, humanity, the state of the nation, whatever it was, what was it that you wanted to communicate it, and why did you want to do that? Okay, I want you to think about those three things and remember, and ask yourself this question. Once you've remembered these things, where you were, where the first spark of that idea came to you, do you still want those things? Do you still have that same commitment to get that out into the world? If your answer to that is no, I want you to stop everything right now and don't write that book. Maybe think of another one to write, and that's okay. People are like, what? Suzy's telling me not to write my book. Just hang with me for a second. It doesn't mean that you're not going to be a writer, but sometimes people get stuck on a book and they feel like they have to finish it. There is nobody out there saying that you have to finish this book. And if you no longer want to write this particular story in this particular moment, that will come through on your pages. So please walk away from that book, right? If you've got a book that you've got half finished, and you're like, I should just finish this book, and you feel terrible every time you think about it, and you go back and you remember that first spark, what you wanted to say, why you wanted to say it, and you're like, I don't feel that way anymore, or I'm a different person, or it wasn't enough oomph to get me through this process, come up with a new idea. Okay, so walk away from that story. But that's probably not the case, because you're here watching this video today. You've been thinking about that book. You've been thinking about it, even if you haven't been writing it. You've been thinking about that book that you've put on the shelf, and you want to get started again. But if you think about that first spark of the idea, and you think about what you wanted to say to the world, and you remember why you wanted to say it, and you're still excited about it, and that idea won't let you go, then please buckle up and keep writing. Let go of all that negativity that you might be hanging on to. Let go of all the guilt that you let it sit for a while. Now's your moment. Grab hold, keep watching us in Inspired Writing here. If you love this episode and you want to get this book written, you also can download, wherever you're watching or listening to this episode, you can download my free guide with next steps at whatever stage you got stuck at. I've got some action items that you can take today. So go grab that guide, and please, please, please like and subscribe to Inspired Writing wherever you're watching or listening to this, so that you can get all the tips each week and you can get that book written. So until then, I would love, love, love to hear all about your writing project, so that I can be here and cheer you on. Make sure you drop it in the comments. Tell me what you're writing. Tell me why you're writing it. Tell me what you're excited about. Tell me that you're stuck. Tell me anything at all, and I will be here cheering you on. So until then, happy writing, and I will see you next time.